So a lot of people actually don't know that if you are an Android user, most of you have Gmail and Google Maps. Now, if you lose your phone, you can go into your maps, see your history, and if your location is on or the phone is on, most of the time you can locate the last known location of where your phone is. So, story time. My ex come to me and he was like, "Hey Lily, I lost my brand new phone. I cannot find it." So he gave me permission to log into his email with his password and locate his phone. So I started my research. He had to go on into work, so he didn't have a phone on him. As I'm looking, I notice Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Calabash, North Carolina, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 2 and 3 times a week. Now, I'm like, okay, well, he's been going there a lot. Maybe that's where it is. So I go into Google Maps and it actually shows the address of the house in Myrtle Beach that he's been going to. So I pull the address up. I look at it on like Google Maps. I see, okay, well, it's a little neighborhood. I'll just go see if I can pick it up. If anything, maybe it's a friend of his. I can knock on the door, get the phone back. So I drive down there, pull up. There's 2 cars in the driveway and a man comes to the door and I'm like, "Hey, do you know Daniel?" And he's like, yeah. I'm like, "Well, did he leave his phone here? Like, can you look? Because his last like known location with that phone is here and he's lost it, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "He better not have been here." I'm like, "Well, he's been here like many times, especially in the last couple of months." And I had my tablet in my hand showing him his address where my boyfriend had been going over there. And he is like, "That's my wife's ex-fiance and he damn well better not be coming up here." So I'm like in the middle of what is going on here. So she comes to the door and she's like, "He's not been up here." And the guy snatches the tablet from my hand and pulls up like he's showing her every single time Daniel has been over there. And it pinpoints the address, people. It pulls right up. It shows the house and everything. And I'm just standing here like, what do I do? And the husband's like, "Let me see the phone number." So I call the phone number and it's Daniel's voicemail. He knows for sure now that it's my boyfriend. It's her ex-fiance's phone number. They start fighting like bad, arguing. So I'm like, I get my tablet. I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I was not coming here to start drama. I honestly thought maybe you were a friend of his." This dude goes in, starts packing up his clothes, throwing them in his car. She's raising sand. So I walk back up to her and I'm like, "Look, if he's been coming to see you, just tell me." While this dude walked off. And she's like, "We've been seeing each other." I'm like, "Well, he's been coming here behind my back. I had no idea." And she was like, "I know." "You know?" So I went back and told her husband, "Yeah, she just said he's been coming up here behind our backs." And then as I'm walking around the corner of the car, there's a little black square laying in the edge of the yard and it's Daniel's phone. So I grabbed his phone and I left. As soon as I got down the road, the phone was ringing back to back, so I answered it. As soon as I said hello, hung up. I looked at the number, and it was the ex-fiance's number. I get it, liars are going to stick together. She was trying to warn him. Anyways, it's not my proudest moment, but I went through his phone. I went through Facebook, text messages, everything. I got so worked up that I had to pull over. I was shaking so bad that I was dropping the phone and pressing buttons. 2 of the girls that he had been cheating with were now pregnant, sending him ultrasound pictures, doctor's appointments, and all this stuff. And he knew how bad I wanted to have a baby but couldn't. One girl he had took to have an abortion. It was really bad. Altogether, there were about 25 other women that he had been physically cheating with, and I'd say probably almost 50 that he was online cheating with. And the worst part of it is that I personally knew about 18 of them. They were my neighbors, friends. I got my hair done with these girls. I did makeup with these girls. I babysat their kids. We did family barbecues, went to the beach together, like family outings. I knew a lot of these women. They were at my house. So that really tore me apart. I had one of the worst physical panic attacks I've ever had in my life in that car. So I ended up finally making it to my house where he was in the driveway waiting for me. I was so worked up that when I pulled up in the driveway, I damn near drove through my trailer. I couldn't have mashed the brakes. My whole body was shaking. So I got out the car and I handed him his phone and he was like, "Oh my gosh, you found it. Thank you." And I said, "It's dead." So he looked at me and smiled like, "Oh, it's dead. So she couldn't have gone through it." I went in the house and grabbed my trash bags, grocery bags, and started packing his crap up, what little bit he had in there. He went and got on his Xbox. I went in there and tossed his bags of crap down beside him on the floor. He said, "What are you doing, spring cleaning?" I said, "Yes, something like that. You need to go ahead and get your stuff and just go ahead and leave." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Get your stuff and leave." And he got up and he was like, what happened? What happened today?" I said, "I know you've been cheating. You've been lying. You got kids out here. You taking people to have all this stuff that's going on. No, you have done nothing but lie since we got together this whole entire relationship. And I've been nothing but good to you. I've wasted 3 years on you." People don't realize how bad that hurts. I loved you. I said, "I know you've been messing with the neighbors, my friends. I know about everything." And he was like, "You're wrong. You got this all messed up. You're crazy." I said, "I love how you narcissists like to make us feel crazy when you've been exposed." I said, "Here's your stuff." And I started throwing it out the door, his Tupperware, everything. And he said 6 words I'll never forget. "I'm calling my mama over here." I grabbed as soon as I got part 3. He said, "I'm calling my mama." I said, "You calling your mama? Who calls their mama?" He said, "I'm a country boy. I call my mama when I need backup." I said, "Country boy, my ass. You won't even bait your own hook. You can't even tie your own line. You won't even take your fish off the hook. You won't even pick up duck eggs at the nest because you think they got a little bit of poop on them." This man would not even pee in the woods. He wouldn't poop in the woods. He wouldn't walk barefoot out in the yard. We were on a job site and our boss man had taken the truck which had all drinks on it. So we had to walk over to the house and drink out the hose pipe and get some cool water. He stood there to my, "I'm not drinking out of that hose pipe. That's nasty." I said, "You're going to have a damn heat stroke because you don't want to drink out the hose pipe?" But he's a country boy. So his mama pulls up, and of course she comes stomping over to me. "You can't kick him out." I said, "You just don't want me to kick him out because you don't want to take him back in. Yes, get his stuff, take him home. You want to enable him so much, take his butt on home with you." She demanded I forgive him and just let bygones be bygones. I said, "This is more than bygones. He's got children out here." "I know." I said, "You've known for 3 years that he has kids out here. Nobody's told me. Don't I have the right to know? All of this stuff is going on. Well, my baby ain't no cheater. Y'all were broken up." No, we weren't. That's besides the point. Get his stuff and get out. And he says, "I'm calling my sister." I said, Go ahead and call. Go ahead and call that posse up here. But you better remember something. My posse's a lot bigger and they're a lot closer. So if you want to drag them into it, let's drag them all into it. She grabs his stuff, puts it in the car. He gets in the car and she spins tires. I'm like, "Let me turn my damn yard up now." Oh man, I was tripping. They get down the road. Within a minute, he's texting me, "I don't understand why we can't work this out. Why are you so mad?" Then texts me, "You're making a big deal out of nothing. You're crazy." Who goes through somebody else's phone? He made the biggest deal about me going through his phone. I said, "You pick my phone up anytime I lay it down. I'm in the shower, I'm taking a dump, whatever. You go through my phone. I know you do because I see it on my email. It sends me a picture every time you open my phone. You have. And I never have anything to hide. But the one time that I go through yours, I'm wrong for it because you've been lying for 3 years." Then the online harassment started. They bashed me for every in the book on Facebook. I couldn't believe some of the really vile, disgusting claims they were making. Thank goodness all of my family and friends knew it was lies and they blocked them. But then it was messaging me from every sock account they could making all these crazy comments, bullying me every way they could, calling my job, basically stalking and harassment. So bad that my boss told me if it didn't stop, I would be fired. So I had to get control over it. I went to the sheriff department. They said there was nothing they could do about it until a threat was made. It sucks. Part 3. He said, "I'm calling my mama." He said, "Ah." All right, you guys asked for it. How do you make your easy peach cobbler? So I'm going to give you my grandmother's greatest recipe. And it is so easy. A caveman from North Carolina could do it. You're going to get 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Pour it in a bowl. 1 cup of sugar. Pour it in a bowl. 1 cup of milk. Pour it in a bowl. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Your dough's ready. Now, if you want to fancy it up a little bit, you can add in just a drop or two of vanilla. If you want to throw in a little bit of cinnamon or cinnamon sugar, by all means, go right ahead. But that's how that bready batter stuff you see in peach cobbler and blueberry cobbler, that's how it's made. 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of milk, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now you're going to mix it all together. You don't want it to be mixed up like water, but you do want it mixed up well. Get your pan ready, cut up a stick of butter, unsalted. Put the little slices in the bottom of this pan. Slide it in the oven and let the butter melt. As soon as the butter is melted, then we can put our stuff in. So let the butter melt. While you're waiting on your butter to melt, go ahead, drain your canned peaches, pour them in a bowl. However many cans you're using, make sure you add a full cup of sugar and let them set in it for at least 10-15 minutes, because that's going to help to hold the flavor and stuff in these peaches. Stir them up real good and then let them sit, and you'll see the juice start to form around them from the sugar. See how nice and thick that's getting? Now your butter's melted. Pour your batter into the pan. Don't mix it. Just level your batter out like so, but don't mix it at all. Take your bowl of peaches and lay each peach one at a time down on top of the batter. Do not mix it. Lay them down evenly, just like you see here. Now you're ready to put it in the oven. Now you can add some cinnamon sugar, whichever one you decide. Perfectly fine to sprinkle across the top. Now that you got your cinnamon sprinkled across the top, like so, put her in the oven. She's ready to be baked. Bake at about 40 minutes. Sometimes it may take an hour. Please don't come into my comments with, "That's not how my family does it. This is how I do it." 1 cup flour, 1 cup sugar, 1 cup milk, 2 teaspoons of the baking powder. You're done. It's that simple. It's so easy. Alright, you guys asked for it. How do you make your easy peach cobbler? So I'm going to give you my grandmother's greatest recipe. And it is so easy. A caveman from North Carolina could do it. You're going to get 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Pour it in a bowl. 1 cup of sugar. Pour it in a bowl. 1 cup of milk. Pour it in a bowl. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Your dough's ready. Now, if you want to fancy it up a little bit, you can add in just a drop or two of vanilla. If you want to throw in a little bit of cinnamon or cinnamon sugar, by all means, go right ahead. But that's how that bready batter stuff you see in peach cobbler and blueberry cobbler, that's how it's made. 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of milk, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now you're going to mix it all together. You don't want it to be mixed up like water, but you do want it mixed up well. Get your pan ready, cut up a stick of butter, unsalted. Put the little slices in the bottom of this pan. Slide it in the oven and let the butter melt. As soon as the butter is melted, then we can put our stuff in. So let the butter melt. While you're waiting on your butter to melt, go ahead, drain your canned peaches, pour them in a bowl. However many cans you're using, make sure you add a full cup of sugar and let them set in it for at least 10-15 minutes, because that's going to help to hold the flavor and stuff in these peaches. Stir them up real good and then let them sit, and you'll see the juice start to form around them from the sugar. See how nice and thick that's getting? Now your butter's melted. Pour your batter into the pan. Don't mix it. Just level your batter out like so, but don't mix it at all. Take your bowl of peaches and lay each peach one at a time down on top of the batter. Do not mix it. Lay them down evenly, just like you see here. Now you're ready to put it in the oven. Now you can add some cinnamon sugar, whichever one you decide. Perfectly fine to sprinkle across the top. Now that you got your cinnamon sprinkled across the top, like so, put her in the oven. She's ready to be baked. bake at about 40 minutes. Sometimes it may take an hour. Please don't come into my comments with, that's not how my family does it. This is how I do it. 1 cup flour, 1 cup sugar, 1 cup milk, 2 teaspoons of the baking powder. You're done. It's that simple. It's so easy. I bake it at 350 for 30 to 40 minutes, and we just hit the 30-minute mark, so it's almost done, and the whole house smells so good. For everybody saying that I was lying in this video and that there was no way I could use Google to find my ex-boyfriend's phone and catch him cheating, let me show you how I did it. So he gave me his email and his password so I could try to locate his phone. I went to Google Maps, go to the little profile in the top right corner. A list will pop up. Go to timeline. And then it's going to pop up your timeline of where you have traveled while your location was on. Now, his location had been on because we always use the GPS to get to different places. So you see today's here. Now, I'm not showing mine because I don't want people trying to find me. If you tap this arrow right here, it will go back to each day. Yesterday, day before that. You can actually tap where yesterday is and a calendar will pop up, and then you can go to each month. I think even all the way back almost probably last year, and find out where you've been. Google Maps will even show you places that have been saved, different restaurants you've been to, Walmarts, all kinds of stores, roads, addresses. So any address that had been typed in will pop up on the timeline if you've searched it or have been there. Even when you use the Google Voice and you say, hey Google, where's Walmart? That is even saved on this. I could even hear the voice calls where he would ask Google, where is, say, 1212 Myrtle Beach South? There was even little playbacks where he was like searching her address or searching different hotels to meet different women. So there you have it. Now you can add your car, your phone, your TVs to your Google email. And if they get stolen or lost, you can pinpoint those items. I got robbed last year and the police couldn't even find my vehicle. I found my own car with my email address and doing what I just showed y'all. And yes, there were many occasions where I would use the GPS on his phone and I could have just tapped timeline and seen all the different places. But I'm a very trusting person. So if you're having to play Inspector Gadget, then that relationship probably isn't for you. But we all deserve to know the truth. You know, having to get STD tested is one of the most terrifying things I've ever been through. And because of him, I will never go through that again. I will never, ever be that trusting. He broke all the trust that was within me. And that's not nobody else's fault. This ain't a pity party. This is a stupidity party on my behalf. I knew better. I seen the red flags, but I didn't want to see them. So don't make my mistakes. You know, if you feel something's going on, check it out. But don't stress yourself out over it. It ain't worth it. There's too many good people out here in this world. Be happy. For
the ball wearing sunglasses when ain't no sun out.
Bo, that girl in the pink bikini, she's seen her life flash before her eyes.
Trust the ball wearing sun.
Hey, how's the weather? It's raining here. How about over there? Would you like some sausages? Hey, how's the weather? It's raining here. How about over there? Would you like some sausages?
There's Arkansas. Hey, wake up. These people had their own children go on national TV and defend their abuser because he was their brother. Like that makes it any better at all. They made a Facebook post saying that he was going to be running for a seat in Arkansas. You know, Senate seat. Yeah. These people who hid and covered up what their son Josh did to his own siblings for years. Swept it under the rug to keep him out of trouble. Yeah, they're going to be running for a seat in your house. Oh, you remember their son Josh? Yeah, he was just in court this past week for owning and possessing CP. Some pictures were of children under the age of 12. Very disturbing. Remember when Josh resigned from the FRC? You know, the job he had where they advocate against gay marriage, same-sex marriage because they're Christians. Yeah, they don't like gay marriage at all. And for the Duggar stands that are going to come hating because they think Anna's brainwashed, she has a phone, a vehicle, money, support system, internet access. The girl chooses to stay. She's got 7 kids with a predator. She chooses to stay. So don't even come at me trying to get sympathy because you will not find it here. Thank you. Hey, remember when Josh said he was sorry for his wrongdoings? He didn't mean to. You know, because it's not a pattern or anything. He's only been doing this for what, 20 years now? And he's just now getting to court? Yeah, it kind of seems like somebody's got some serious pull down in Arkansas. Oh, you remember Jim Boob and Michelle? They're the ones that knew what their son was doing to their other children. And they basically just said, hey, let's send him to camp. He'll be okay. And like basically swept it under the rug. Yeah, that's them. And they continue to defend him to this day, along with his wife Anna. How about Josh's defense was to try to get the judge to dismiss the case entirely, but it was denied. Let's not forget that Jim Bob testified for his son on behalf of whether they could use the past in this case or not. Also, a Duggar longtime family friend, Bobby, claimed to the judge that Josh told her he inappropriately touched the V and the B's of a girl in March of 2003 and had been touching 3 other girls, both over and under the clothes, for years. Bobby also told the judge that Josh allegedly confessed because he was courting her daughter and that their relationship would have to end as a result of his conduct. Bobby also said that Josh told her he had digitally traded one of his victims years after the initial confession in 2003. Jill Duggar says she had to get a lawyer involved to get the money she felt she was owed from her appearances on 19 Kids and Counting On, but the payout she eventually received wasn't huge. Her husband says her compensation was basically equivalent to earning minimum wage. So you know who kept that money for those kids on that show. Arkansas, hey, wake up. These people had their own children